Hello, hello, my friends. We are here and we are functioning once again for another stream tonight. And we're going to do the next episode of Voicing Artists' Original Characters. That is a YouTube series that I have where I contact artists and then I reach out to them about their different OCs, which is original characters for those who might not know. And I take any drawings or any history or any backstory, etc., that they have with this OC, and I give them a voice. And I improv different dialogue lines. We usually do a set of 3 emotions, so we do happy, angry, and sad are like generals, and then we'll throw things in there to mix it up. And that's what we're going to start with today. I reached out to some artists who I talked about when I was really doing the series a couple of months ago before went through this whole process of building a lovely booth and moving places and doing all those things. So the series had to be put on hiatus, but now the series is back in action. And I reached out to some of the artists that I had previously talked with, made sure they were still comfortable with me using their characters. And so we're going to use one of them today and just record the episode while we're doing it. So this is the character we're working with today. She's lovely, she's beautiful. She gives me very elf vibes with the long pointed ears. Maybe a little bit of like Zelda territory, like Princess Zelda, with the long blonde flowy hair and the blue eyes. But yes, so today on Voicing Artists' Original Characters, we are going to be working with this lovely drawing from the artist Emma Fisher, or the name online, if you're going to go look her up, is Luria Art, pronoun she, her. So she said that I would be able to use this drawing of one of her OCs here for our episode. However, I don't have any character name, I don't have any background or history for the character, I don't even have a character description personality-wise or a voice description, nothing. So we are entirely running off of what we get from this image, and this is also the only drawing. So we're going to be running solely from this image and the vibes that it gives us, what the artist has put into their actual drawing style, and we're going to run from there. So I'll give you some of my notes on this image and what I see from this. As I said earlier, she gives me very Princess Zelda, elven energy. And what I mean by that is a very regal, a very romanticized, I think might be a good word here. It's courteous. Anything that sort of lends you to you clearly know how to act, almost aristocratic. You have a etiquette that you are putting on as a person. I think that comes from this image where if you put her in a scenario like this, or possibly even just naturally, she is able to uphold herself with what other people would see as very respectful, very polite, very conscious about etiquette and things of that nature. They would see her as like, wow, she's flawless and so elegant in everything she does. That's the energy I mean when I say like Princess Zelda territory or traditional elven, like Lord of the Rings style elven, where there's sort of a flow and a grace to everything they do. Some of the things that I have written here for this character's personality would be that she stands for peace. She is maybe a protector of nature, something in the way of she respects nature and she also values it. So it's not just let it be and it'll let us be. It's not just it's a living creature, so we need to give it its due or treat it like it's a living creature. It's also this thing itself inherently has value. So she sees nature, and I get this from the way that she's very gracefully and gently holding this sunflowers and this sort of bouquet of other things, and she's sort of stopped to let the wind just flow through her hair, and she's sort of watching the wind almost pick up the leaves and fly. That to me is, you can see the beauty in nature. You can see the way that nature is able to not just exist, not just function on its own, but it's able to harness the things about it and create an art almost, as if you're viewing from outside of this masterpiece that just has beautiful elements to it, like the wind picking up leaves or flower petals in the air, or the colors as the leaves change and the grass as it grows and a rainfall. These things have an inherent beauty in them. And this drawing, with the way that she's sort of very openly with her eyes, and even her mouth is starting to go open a little, that says to me that what she's looking at as the wind takes her hair and her face in the direction, it is a sense of wonder. It's a sense of awe at the thing that she is being drawn to, and not like a sense of, what the hell is that? It's a whoa type of energy. In the features of her face and the actual expression of her eyes becoming wider and her mouth opening a little and the eyebrows almost coming up in a little bit of a curve, that to me gives wonder. It gives awe. It gives, this is something that's incredible, versus, what's happening? Or, what's that type of energy. It's almost like the world has slowed down and there is only this moment in time. You just exist in the moment, in the beauty of nature, right here, right now. What else do I have here? I have gentle, I have kind, I have warming, ethereal or otherworldly presence. Possibly that fades into their way of speaking. So the ethereal vibe, you could argue, is from sort of the elven idea, but I also think when you are this in tuned with your surroundings and with the life and the creatures around you, that you don't have the proclivities that we have from society and all its little things that come into the way that we speak. You don't feel the need to talk as fast. You don't feel the need to get your words correct or say things with passion or do all these things that we do because we want other people to make sure they understand exactly what we're saying, and we're not being misinterpreted, and we're not being interrupted, and all these things. You don't necessarily have that if your life has been with peace and with nature and outside of these societal restrictions. And I also have tender, I have merciful, and I have empathetic. I think all of these things would come into play. And empathetic is an interesting one because I do think she would be empathetic to other people's feelings and emotions. I think she would be able to say, I can sense and I can almost feel the pain that you are going through, or the happiness that you are feeling, or the sadness, right? The grief or the excitement, whatever the case may be. But I don't think it is the truest sense of the word empathy. Let me explain. The truest form of empathy, not good, not bad, just pure form of it, is the concept that you can resonate very, very strongly with the emotion they are feeling. And you are almost as if you're feeling it while they are feeling it. And I don't think that quite fits for her, because I think with this aspect of ethereal or otherworldly, there's a slight disconnect between the people side of things. Because if she's able to have this connection with nature and with creatures and with these lovely things and not people, and that's going to affect her voice and her thoughts, I think it's going to affect her emotions too. And it's not to say that she's not empathetic, because she definitely is. It's more so that I think it goes to a fault, right? It might be something like, I understand that you're angry and anger burns this or that, but then you might have that person respond with something like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. Stop telling me that you get it because you don't get it type of energy. So we'll see if we can play with that a little bit when we're doing these lines and futzing around with things. Let's see here if while we're in the moment, we can pull up anything in this drawing in particular. We talked about the nature, we talked about the wind blowing through her hair, sort of the wonder and awe in her eyes and in her mouth and in her eyebrows. Let's see if there's anything else. I will say it's a very bright color palette. It's very bright, and it is warming, which is one that I mentioned. Usually cool tones like blues and grays give a bit more of a calming impression. And in this case, we have the opposite. We have bright yellows, and we do have a little blue in there. We have bright yellows, we have a bright green. Her eyes, even though they are blue, and her earrings are sort of like this soft purple, her eyes are like a bright blue. And then you have this soft purple earrings and these almost soft blue purple flowers and a soft purple ribbon. And I think it's interesting to have these warming colors like the peach on her skin and the blonde in her hair and the green in the grass and the yellow in the sunflowers. And even sort of the browns and whites are a little bit more neutral warm. And then just little itty bitty spurses of the cooler with the purples and the blues, just tiny little bits in there. It's a really good color design just for actual drawing and art's sake. But from a acting perspective, this tells me that this warmth that is a part of her, and it's so strong and it's so powerful with the yellow and the green and the undertones of her skin and these types of things. This warmth is so powerful, but there are pieces in here that are taking this warmth a little cooler. So it's like warm and I love you and you're welcome and everyone is happy and excited. And there's these little overtones of like, we're warm and we're happy, but we're also take a deep breath and live in the moment type of calm. And that comes from that blue. So I think that will help us a little bit in doing this voice. Now, I think with a character like this, we go classic, back to the first reference I said of Princess Zelda. I think we go classic, softer, higher pitched style character. The princess voice, or the damsel voice, if you will. I just think it'll mesh really well with the imagery that we're getting with the soft lines and the colors and the gentleness. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do almost a voice that is speaking a bit slower in pace, but is soft and high. So we'll try and combine those together and do a voice like that. The first emotion that we want to do here is happy. So if I was going to give her a happy line, I think it would be something about the beauty of the nature around her. We keep bringing in this nature aspect and this almost ethereal aspect that I think her living and breathing in this environment and maybe her explaining why it brings her excitement and it brings her happiness might get us there. So let's think for a second. Okay, let's give something a shot here. Okay.
Do you see it? The world is beautiful. When you look at the trees and the water. There is nothing that I value more than being a part of this. It's everything I could have ever wanted.
Ooh. I like that. We might do another sort of take of that. Let's see if we can get some of the breathiness out here. I did like that it came into the character though. Wasn't planning on making her breathy, just sort of higher pitched and soft and a bit of a slow speaker. She ended up a little fast and was simply more thoughtful on her words rather than actually speaking slow. I think maybe we try a version by slowing it down and keeping the breathiness because I like that the breathiness came in. So let's give it a shot. Let's try again.
When the stars shine at night and they reflect upon the water's surface, there is nothing more beautiful. There is nowhere else that I'd rather be.
Oh, nope, we can't use that. That's a song lyric. There's nowhere else. Oh my god, okay. We'll try this again. I like the idea of the sunlight or the moon shimmering on the water, so let's try that.
When the light of the moon shimmers along the water, and the wind bristles through the trees, there is nowhere else. There is nowhere else that I feel so loved.
Yeah, I like that. There's still a good amount of breathiness in there. And it has such a strange pacing. Because rather than slow it down like I thought maybe we should do, the speed of the way she spoke sort of stayed intact. She doesn't speak rather fast, but she does speak in spurts. The pacing is what sort of solidified itself as, no, this is the pacing that she speaks at. And it's not a typical sort of natural human way of speaking. We don't usually speak in, I say words, then I say more words, then I say more words. That's not usually what we do. We usually speak a little bit until we have an idea in our head, and then we finish the sentence at the end. Or we just go completely through a sentence, right? Any of these things are possible. Or for people who talk slower, they usually have a consistent speed at which they speak, but the pauses throughout the sentences or brain thoughts are not really there, right? And people who talk really fast just kind of do this and then they keep going and they really don't think about it, but sometimes they're there. But again, there's no pauses. And I think that speaks to the ethereal, otherworldly aspect of her that we were picking up on. Is she speaks in this pattern that isn't quite natural. It's not unnerving, it's not scary, it's just different. But she's so calm and she's so gentle about it that it works. It's like a sort of almost like a fairy or an elf, like we're talking about, with this elegant sort of otherworldly being. So I like that for her happy. But now we gotta make her angry. So that becomes the question. How do we make a being like this angry? Well, if we are going with the idea that she finds her peace and she finds her happiness inside of just existing with nature. She doesn't need to be involved. She doesn't need to put her own things into it. It's almost just she is experiencing it. Then perhaps she might be angry. Ooh, that's a tough one, huh? I'm wondering if we should stick with this otherworldly sort of thing for anger and do almost like, and I'm a little biased here, I have been listening to the Epic the Musical soundtrack, and I just finished listening to before we got here, the Poseidon one, but it was like female cover, so it's the one where she's like, get in the water, right? And it's only a quick like clip or whatever, but it was a female cover version. And so this idea of the gods being all-powerful and otherworldly, and they could be peaceful and gentle and lovely, but when you've angered them, it's pointed, and it's terrifying, and it's cold, and it's directed, and I think that's the way we go with her. I think she goes from like a, this is a lovely place to be, to a very, you are not welcome here, leave or I will kill you. Just very succinct. It might even change the pacing of the way she speaks. I don't know. We will see. So if we're gonna go that route, then I think the person she would have to be angry at would be some sort of people that are invading and hurting the land, Maybe like Sokka in Avatar style when he's like cutting down the vines of the tree or something, but much more serious, much more like Poseidon god energy. So let's see if we can play with something like that. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's try this. I think I got something.
You have plucked my flowers. You have burnt my trees. The forest must grow again, and you will be its soil. On your knees.
Oh! Oh my god! Whoa! Speak of otherworldly anger. That's fucking terrifying. That's like all emotions, all soul has left. It's gone. It's not here anymore. You don't even get the chance to beg for your life or plead your case. This is just fact. Oh, I love that. That is not something I get to do often. Oh my lord, but that was fun, especially not in that voice. I think both doing that in a low voice and a high voice is fun, but because of the way that she speaks, her pacing and her breathiness, oh, that was good. That was a very good one. Which means that our last one is sadness. So what do we want to do here for sadness? Well, if someone destroying the forest would make her angry in sort of this pointed you will die here type of energy, and living and existing in the forest makes her happy, then something that makes her sad... Oh, I just got something. Something that makes her sad would be if nature rejects her. So let's go with this idea that she is a goddess, or she is a, like, you know, the woman of the forest, she is a guardian spirit, whatever the case may be. It is her job, but also her life and her soul to keep the nature as it is, and it's a part of her, right? So I think the sadness would come from if she has done something wrong, and so the nature, the thing that is a part of her, has rejected her in her place, and they've chosen a new successor, or whatever the context may be. The fact that the thing that she feels is her has said she is no longer welcome. Ooh, that would make her sad, I think. Because I don't think it would make her angry, because she would believe that whatever nature decides, if it decides to tell her that she's no longer welcome, is the correct decision. She would say that she has done fault, even if she doesn't know what it is. She would never, ever be angry at them for that choice. She would just be sad. So I think that's where we go with it. So if we want to do that aspect, then what could we do here? I think we're gonna stick to like this god energy that the epic musical has given me, and we're gonna go in that kind of a route. So I think I have something. Let's give it a shot.
You have forsaken me. What is it that I have done? Do you no longer believe that I can service you? Will I never be able to sit amongst the flowers again? If that is the choice you make, then may your will be done.
Oh, that's sad. Oh, you can hear the little like shakiness of breath and sort of trying to hold back tears. Wow. it's so hurtful because to have a character that will never resort to putting, whether it's due or not, they will never resort to putting the blame on the thing that shuts them out, on the person that shuts them out, on nature in this case that shuts them out. And the only response they could have to something like that is just pure, unadulterated sadness at the experience and the person they have lost, or the world in this case they have lost. Ooh, that's heart-wrenching. But I do think it was well placed for this character. And that is our 3 dialogue pieces. This was a really cool character to play with. I don't know that she was ever intended to be like godlike or otherworldly or spiritual, but I really liked taking her in that route. And I think the idea that she's a goddess of nature or, you know, anything in that realm is really powerful. And I think it could be represented in this image, this gorgeous, gorgeous image from our artist, Emma Fisher. So thank you to our artist. Make sure y'all go follow her. It's Laria Art if you're looking on online places like Instagram and things like that. And next week, we will have a new episode with another artist and another original character and more voices. You can catch them live on Twitch, which is where we're recording this right now. And join me for the process. Give me ideas of dialogue lines or scenarios that the character could be in. Or you can watch the finished episodes here. After they are done and fully edited, they will be here once a week. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys. Goodbye!